Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, just rubbing the sleep from your eyes, and looking out your bedroom window, only to see a massive, scaled dragon soaring casually across the sky. I mean, your morning coffee hasn't even kicked in yet, but the world as you know it has literally just changed forever. In this explainer, we're going to dive into exactly what that wild new reality would look like.
Before you can even process what you're seeing, your phone just starts frantically buzzing with breaking news alerts. We're talking reports flooding in from all over the globe, towering giants walking across mountain ranges, and mermaids surfacing near crowded beaches. You'd just be staring at the screen, wondering, would humanity actually survive the biggest day in Earth's history? But here's a terrifying thought to keep in mind. That dragon you saw out your window? Yeah, it might not actually be the most dangerous thing out there.
Now, to understand the sheer magnitude of this event, we have to look at what these creatures actually are. We're not just talking about some newly discovered species of animal. We're talking about legendary beings, dragons, unicorns, phoenixes, and yes, even vampires. These are entities that have lived exclusively in our global folklore, our myths and campfire stories for literally thousands of years. So what actually happens when they step out of the pages of our ancient texts and right onto our front lawns?
Let's visualize day one, what historians would inevitably call the awakening. The chaos and awe of that very first day would be absolutely overwhelming. Picture this: majestic unicorns running wild through dense suburban forests, and brilliant, fiery phoenixes lighting up the night sky like secondary suns. And sure, you'd have colossal giants causing minor earthquakes with every step as they cross mountain ranges, which, let's be honest, is definitely going to cause some horrible morning commute traffic. It would be a day of absolute breathtaking wonder mixed with total, utter confusion.
But all of this wonder brings up a pretty terrifying realization. If these beautiful, awe-inspiring creatures just appeared out of thin air, what does that mean for the dark, dangerous ones? Right? For every magnificent Pegasus that graces the sky, is there something far more sinister waking up in the shadows?
Well, governments definitely wouldn't just sit back and watch the show. They'd systematically scramble to establish order out of the sheer chaos and figure out what these beings are. You would see immediate, widespread military action to secure borders and major cities. Rapid deployment of emergency shelters for displaced populations would have to happen within hours. Soon after that, we'd see the creation of heavily guarded, protected mythical creature zones, and entirely new international laws drafted overnight just to manage this impossible new reality. It would be an absolute administrative nightmare, but a totally necessary one.
Once the dust actually begins to settle, humanity would realize the incredible potential of these beings. Think about having amazing companions, like griffins using their immense strength and flight to rescue stranded hikers from perilous mountains. Or imagine the magic of fairies saving dying agricultural crops overnight, which could effectively end global food shortages. It really makes you wonder which incredible creature you'd want by your side in this wild new world. However, that honeymoon phase of wonder? It wouldn't last long. Because where there is light, the dark side always awakes. Suddenly, humanity is forced to share the globe with vampires hunting in our cities, werewolves prowling the forests under a full moon, multi-headed hydras lurking in our lakes, and massive cyclopses claiming entire territories for themselves. When you break down the global threat distribution, you realize these monsters threaten every single habitat on Earth. 35% of the danger is in the oceans, making a casual beach day absolutely terrifying with leviathans like the Kraken lurking offshore. Another 30% means our forests are swarming with werewolves, making camping pretty much a thing of the past. A massive 25% of the threat is right in our own densely populated cities with vampires, and 10% sits in the mountains with deadly basilisks. With apex predators lurking in literally every corner of the globe, it leaves us with a massive, suspenseful question. Could humans possibly remain the most powerful species on the planet?
Section 1. Science meets myth.
You see, human curiosity always takes over. After that initial shock and panic, the brightest minds in the world would mobilize. Scientists would scramble to make logical sense of the seemingly impossible, desperately trying to understand how these magical beings function in a physical universe. Instead of just shrugging and calling it magic, scientists would apply simple hypotheses to ground these incredible abilities in biology. Maybe a dragon's fire breath is just the result of highly flammable gas glands in its throat reacting with a biological spark. Perhaps a phoenix's rebirth is just an extreme rapid form of cellular regeneration. And a mermaid's ability to survive in the deep ocean? Maybe that comes down to hyper-advanced gill structures. It is so fascinating to imagine science trying to put a rigid formula to ancient folklore.
As these scientific breakthroughs happen, humanity would eventually adapt, leading us to a completely new everyday normal. The initial panic would slowly fade, and the extraordinary would just become the ordinary. Finding scorched dragon scales on your windshield in the morning would become just as normal and probably just as annoying as finding fallen leaves or bird droppings. We would just have to figure out how to navigate daily life in a world completely transformed by magic.
Just picture the societal changes for a second. Kids going to school would have mythical creature safety drills right alongside standard fire drills. They'd be learning exactly what to do if a rogue basilisk wanders onto the playground. Imagine taking griffin transportation for your morning commute, completely bypassing highway traffic. You might check into a hospital to receive revolutionary new treatments derived from phoenix tears, or book your next family vacation for some magical tourism. We'd even see totally new forms of farming and sports. Our entire way of living, working, and learning would be brilliantly revolutionized.
But amidst all this amazing adaptation, a massive, looming question remains. Why now? Did these creatures just poof into existence? Or is the ultimate mystery that they've actually been hiding alongside us for thousands of years? And if they were hiding this whole time in deep caves, ocean trenches, and unmapped forests, what terrifying, unprecedented event finally forced them out of the shadows?
Assuming humanity survives long enough to solve that mystery, the path to coexistence is a pretty long road. We start at day 1 with global chaos, stabilize by year 1 with emergency laws and protected zones, and by year 10, scientific integration really takes hold as we learn to live with and actually utilize these creatures. Fast forward past decades of trial, error, and adaptation, and it leads us to a grand finale at year 100, an era of truly harmonious coexistence.
Section 2. 100 years later. The future of Earth.
Let's step into that year 100 scenario. We're looking at a deeply inspiring futuristic landscape where humanity and myth are completely intertwined. Imagine gleaming cities structurally built to accommodate dragons flying safely overhead, without disturbing skyscrapers. Daily sky transport handled entirely via Pegasi. Deep ocean research facilities run jointly by human scientists and mermaids, unlocking secrets of the ocean floor we never could have reached alone. And most importantly, deep, lasting interspecies friendships. It's an incredibly optimistic vision of what humanity can achieve when we choose to adapt, learn, and cooperate, rather than simply destroy what we don't initially understand.
Ultimately, it all comes down to this realization. The greatest adventure wouldn't be finding these creatures. It would be learning how to live beside them. I mean, that perfectly captures the dual nature of the magic and the danger that would define this unbelievable era in human history. It wouldn't just be about surviving. It would be about evolving together.
So, I want to leave you with one final provocative question today. If you woke up tomorrow and this incredible, dangerous, magical world was suddenly real, which mythical creature would you choose to meet first?